Someone asks you, what do you do for fun?
And you don't know what to say.
Your mind is empty.
You wait, just 1 second too long.
And now it feels awkward,
They are still looking at you.
waiting for your answer.
And now you feel nervous.
So what can you say?
But talking about hobbies can actually be very easy.
Today we'll show you how to talk about your hobbies in simple, natural English.
So you can keep the conversation going.
And this question appears in many everyday conversations.
For example, when you meet someone new.
Or when you talk with a colleague during a break.
Sometimes it even appears right after another small talk topic.
Like the question we talked about in our last episode.
How was your weekend?
Exactly. After you talk about your weekend, people often continue the conversation.
And one very common follow-up question is,
What do you like to do in your free time?
or sometimes people ask, what are your hobbies?
And suddenly many learners feel unsure again,
Because they are not sure how much they should say.
or which words they should use.
But the good news is this.
You usually don't need a long answer.
Just 1 or 2 simple sentences are enough.
For example, imagine someone asks you, what do you like to do in your free time?
You could say something very simple like, I like reading.
Or, I enjoy hiking.
Or even, I like watching movies.
These answers are short,
But they sound completely natural,
and they give the other person something to react to.
which is exactly how small talk works.
One small answer,
Then another small question.
then the conversation continues.
Actually, I noticed something interesting about hobby conversations.
What's that? People often enjoy talking about simple things.
That's true.
You don't need a special or unusual hobby.
Even very common hobbies work perfectly in conversation.
For example, reading,
Cooking,
watching movies,
going for walks.
listening to music.
All of these are very normal hobbies
But they are great for small talk.
because many people can relate to them.
Actually, walking is something I really enjoy.
That doesn't surprise me.
I like walking in the morning.
With coffee, I assume.
Of course.
Naturally.
Sometimes I take a walk before work.
That sounds like a very calm way to start the day.
It really is.
And that's already a perfect hobby answer.
Exactly. If someone asked me, what do you like to do in your free time?
You could say, I like walking in the morning.
Very simple
Very clear.
and easy to understand. What about you, Lily? What do you usually say when someone asks about your hobbies?
Mine is also very simple.
Let me guess. Tea is involved again.
Of course it is.
I expected that.
I really enjoy trying different kinds of tea.
That actually sounds like a hobby.
It is, in a way.
How would you answer the hobby question?
Maybe like this. I enjoy trying different herbal teas.
That sounds very natural.
And sometimes I add a small detail.
Like what?
I enjoy trying different herbal teas, especially chamomile.
Now that sounds very specific.
And that small detail helps the conversation continue.
Because the other person might ask, oh really? What kind of tea do you like?
Exactly.
And suddenly the conversation becomes longer.
This is something many learners forget
Hobbies are great conversation topics,
because they're personal.
but also easy to talk about.
You don't need complicated grammar.
And you don't need long sentences.
Usually one simple sentence is enough.
But there is one small trick that makes hobby answers even easier.
A simple structure that helps you explain your hobbies clearly.
And once you know this structure,
Talking about your hobbies becomes much easier.
even if your English is still at the beginner level,
So what is this simple structure?
it's actually very easy.
When you talk about your hobbies, you can follow a small pattern.
First, say what you like to do.
Then you can add a small detail,
For example, when you do it.
or where you do it.
Let's look at a simple example.
Imagine someone asks you, what do you like to do in your free time?
You could say, I like reading.
That is already a good answer.
But you can make it a little more interesting by adding a small detail.
For example, I like reading in the evening.
Now the other person knows more about your hobby.
And the sentence is still very simple.
Let's try another example.
You could say, I like watching movies.
Then add a small detail.
I like watching movies on weekends.
That sounds natural.
And it's easy to say.
This pattern works for many hobbies.
For example, I like cooking in the evening.
I enjoy hiking on weekends.
I like listening to music when I relax.
All of these sentences follow the same simple idea.
First, the hobby,
Then the detail.
and that small detail helps the conversation grow.
Because now the other person has something to ask about.
For example, if you say, I like cooking in the evening,
Someone might ask, "Oh, nice. What do you like to cook?"
or if you say, I enjoy hiking on weekends,
They might ask, "Where do you usually go hiking?"
that's how small talk continues.
One small sentence leads to another question,
And another answer.
step by step.
Actually, I think hobbies are one of the easiest small talk topics
I agree.
because everyone enjoys something.
And people like talking about the things they enjoy.
For example, I often say, I like trying new teas.
That sounds very natural for you.
Sometimes I add, I like trying new teas in the evening.
That sounds very relaxing.
It really is.
For me, it's something similar.
Let me guess again. Walking?
Yes. I often say, I like going for walks in the morning.
That already sounds like a perfect hobby answer.
Simple
Clear.
and easy for beginners.
Another thing that helps in hobby conversations is curiosity.
That's true.
If someone tells you about their hobby,
You can ask a small follow-up question.
for example, what kind of music do you like?
Or, when do you usually do that?
These small questions show interest.
And they keep the conversation moving.
So, hobby conversations are actually very friendly conversations,
People enjoy sharing what they like,
and they enjoy hearing about what others like.
which makes hobbies a perfect topic for small talk,
But sometimes learners still feel unsure.
especially if they think their hobbies are too simple.
But simple hobbies are actually the easiest to talk about,
Because the vocabulary is usually simple.
and the sentences are short.
In fact, even one sentence can be enough.
But there is another small thing that makes hobby conversations easier.
Something that helps you sound more natural.
Because in real conversations, people often ask one more question after hobbies.
And that question helps the conversation grow even more.
Exactly. Because after someone tells you about their hobby, the conversation often becomes more interesting.
People usually become curious.
They want to know more about the hobby.
For example, imagine someone says, I like playing the guitar.
You could ask, oh, nice. How long have you been playing?
Or maybe, what kind of music do you play?
Now the conversation becomes more personal.
And more relaxed.
That's the nice thing about hobbies.
They are easy to talk about.
And they help people connect.
Let's imagine a simple conversation.
Someone asks you, what do you like to do in your free time?
You answer, I like reading in the evening.
Then the other person might ask, oh, nice. What kind of books do you like?
And you could say, I usually read mystery novels.
Now the conversation feels very natural.
And everything started with one simple sentence.
That's why hobbies are such a useful small talk topic.
They are simple.
They're personal.
And they help conversations continue.
Actually, I remember a conversation like this last week.
Oh, really?
Yes, I met someone at a cafe and we started talking.
What did you talk about?
At first, we talked about the weekend.
That sounds familiar.
And then the conversation moved to hobbies.
What did they ask you?
They asked, what do you usually do in your free time?
And what did you say?
I said, I like trying different herbal teas.
Of course you did.
Naturally.
Did they ask anything else?
Yes, they asked what my favorite tea was.
That sounds like a friendly conversation.
It really was.
And again, it all started with a simple answer.
Exactly. Small talk often grows step by step.
One answer.
One question.
Then another answer.
And before you know it, you're having a real conversation.
Actually, hobbies are also a great topic when you meet someone new.
Because they help you learn something about the other person.
For example, someone might say, I enjoy hiking.
Then you might ask, Where do you usually go hiking?
Or maybe, do you go hiking often?
Now the conversation becomes more interesting.
And you learn something about the other person's life.
So let's remember the idea from today.
When someone asks you about your hobbies,
You don't need a complicated answer.
a simple sentence is enough. You can say,
I like reading.
or I enjoy hiking.
Then you can add a small detail.
For example, I like reading in the evening.
Or, I enjoy hiking on weekends.
That small detail helps the conversation continue.
And if you want to keep the conversation going,
You can ask a question back.
for example, what do you like to do in your free time?
That keeps the conversation balanced.
Because small talk is always shared.
Two people sharing small parts of their lives.
Simple stories.
And easy English.
And once you feel comfortable talking about hobbies,
There are many other small talk topics you will hear in everyday conversations.
one topic that appears almost everywhere.
At work,
In cafes,
even when you talk to someone you just met.
the weather.
People love talking about the weather.
So, in our next episode, we'll explore how to talk about the weather in English,
In a simple and natural way.
so you can keep your conversations going. And remember, learning a language happens step by step,
One sentence at a time.
one small conversation at a time.
And every conversation helps you grow more confident.
We'll continue practicing together in the next episode.
Thanks so much for spending time with us today.
We hope you enjoyed this episode and learned something new without even noticing it.
If you like the English Adventure podcast, make sure to follow us and listen to more episodes.
And remember,
You don't need to be perfect to speak English.
you just need to start.
See you in the next English Adventure.